Hey guys, this is Nicholas from Health Promotion. I'm here today filming the presentation for preventing STIs with education, a limited literature review. First matter, if you're watching me, you're in the right place. Me and Holly divided up our presentation into two videos. So if you find yourself watching her, you need to come back and start with me because I'm going to essentially be presenting the first half of the presentation, and Holly will be presenting the second half of the presentation. So while you're watching the presentation, please make sure you have our poster at the ready. And we have three handouts to go with our poster. The first one is a literature summary table. It basically summarizes all the information we gather from our article. I'll be using that as we go throughout our presentations. The second one is STIs at a glance. That just gives some statistics from the CDC about STIs in the United States. It's the CDC does extensive monitoring on STIs. And the last one handout is do's and don'ts of condom usage. So the title of our presentation is Preventing STIs with Education, a limited literature review. Through my conversations with Holly, we decided that this would be a good appropriate topic. Holly works in GYN nursing, so that'd be STIs will always be a concern with her patients. And you look at the STI rates in Arkansas, they can be rather alarming compared to other parts of the United States. So I think it's an important issue because nurses play an important role in patient education. And what role does our education have in preventing STIs, especially in our selected population, which is young adults and adolescents? So you can look at the first handout, which is STIs at a glance, and it gives you some pretty alarming statistics about STIs in the United States. 1 in 5 people in the United States has an STI. That's because a lot of times STI, their symptoms will be not noticeable, but that doesn't mean you can't have the long-term effects of STIs. There's totaling nearly 68 million infections in 2018. 68 million. That's a pretty large number. And there were 26 million new cases in 2018. And almost half of STIs are in use aged to 15 to 24, which would kind of cross the bridge between our populations, which is young adults and adolescents. And STIs have a significant burden on the healthcare system. They cost about $16 billion annually, according to the CDC. When I say STIs or STDs, that's a little older term. We talk about any type of infection that's transmitted through oral, vaginal, or anal intercourse. So some kind of fluid contact. You can kind of split those up into two broad camps. You have your bacterial infections, that would be like chlamydia, gonorrhea, or syphilis. Then you have your viral infections, so HPV, which is one of the most common ones. Doesn't necessarily have the most severe symptoms, but it is a risk factor for cervical cancer. Then you have HIV, which is obviously concerning for the long-term effects that can have, in leading to the development of immune suppression and AIDS. So that will be the types of infection we're talking about, and we want to prevent those through education. And when I say education, here's what I mean. I want, especially in a nursing role, would be like knowing what are symptoms of STIs, knowing when to get tested, know where to get tested, preventative measures such as condom usage, appropriate condom usage, what is the right size, making sure, knowing how to talk with your partner to encourage them to use condoms, knowing what will be symptoms of concern to avoid intercourse so you don't want to spread the STI. So this is where our second handout will come in. This is the do's and don'ts of condom usage, and it gives a good idea of what sort of education that we were talking about as a way to prevent spread of STIs. You can look at that. It talks about how to use a condom, the right size, what will be some of the common myths associated with condoms. Condoms are not a perfect way to prevent STIs, but it is an important way that nurses especially can educate their patients on. So our purpose of our study or our literature review is to determine what is the effect of education by clinical staff at prevention, and are people interested in education to prevent STIs. Our PICO format question is, what is the benefit of educational intervention for prevention of STIs in adolescents and young adults compared to those who do not receive early educational intervention? Our patients would be young adults and adolescents. Like I said, they're disproportionately affected by STIs, so we want to see what effect education has in that specific population. Like I said, the STI rate kind of bridges both those age groups. Adolescents, we think about teenagers. Young adults, we think about those generally over 20 years of age. Our intervention is education, and we're try to compare those to people who did not receive intervention. We used multiple databases, PubMed, CINHL, and EBSCO. We use terms STD prevention, STI prevention, STIs in adolescents, and STIs in young adults. And you can see our reference chart for all our articles. This brings me to our third handout. This is the literature summary table. You could please take a look at that. This talks about basically what were all the findings that our articles basically in one succinct document. It tells you all the findings, the sample size, the population, what they were looking for in that study, and how that relates to our purpose, finding the effect of education in preventing STIs. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Holly, and she will essentially do the second half of our presentation and talk about what our results that we found were. Thank you.